Come on then, let's hear it.
Right, I don't know what a podcast is.
Not sure that bit will make it. You can be slow or fast, but you must get to the line.
This is just insane to hear.
Give them the robot.
Give them the robot.
Give them what they want.
Give the people what they want.
Don't ever doubt me again. It's not. I don't make this stuff up.
I love you, I'm not leaving.
That's one of the saddest things I've ever heard, Crouchy.
Just going all in on the podcast. All right, lads, how are we?
Yeah, good.
Very good. We're in a pub this time, so I'm very, very happy.
It smells like a pub as well, doesn't it? It smells like a pub that hasn't been cleaned in, 30 years? Is that harsh?
This is a legendary pub, by the way. So I've heard some stories that I don't know if I can even say that have gone on in this particular room of the pub that we're in.
You've
We're
got
like
to tell us one at least.
Well, that fireplace there is the fireplace, I'm led to believe, that Mike Ashley desecrated.
Yeah.
In a deal gone wrong.
I'm looking at it like there should be some remains, but
It's
Should maybe be a
Is
little
that
blue
true?
plaque like you get from British Heritage.
it's a nice fireplace. Anyway, Chris Stark, ladies and gentlemen, usually found on Radio 1 in the afternoons. Tom Fordyce is with me. We wrote a book together. How are you, Tom?
Do you want a signed copy, Chris?
I'll do a best wishes Peter Crouch for you.
Yeah,
That'd be nice. I actually haven't got a signature. It's something I worked out fairly recently because I just write my name like a 5-year-old on the back of a bank card.
I worked on mine, believe it or not. I think when I started playing football, I was like...
Do you get trained
I
in
have
that?
a different one for my bank card, for instance, than I do to like for fans at football games.
The one you're signing for a fan, is that basically a massive P and then a massive C?
Well, if I just sign that, if they duplicate a bank card or find a bank card of mine, they can just do it. And I don't know. I was a little bit worried of fraud.
Yeah. I love that you have 2 signatures because of that. You're worried someone's going to steal your identity.
I did, yeah.
It'd be hard to do, mate.
It would be hard to do, yeah.
You are probably harder to imitate than some other people, Pete, I would say.
Yeah.
Worth trying,
Possibly.
though, because big bank balance. So, not that we should encourage that, I assume.
So episode 1 was all about dressing rooms, wasn't it? My favourite bit of episode 1 was the fact that Chelsea in the away dressing room have got molten brown shower gel.
There was many things that came out the last podcast. I think the tale of Shakira in the ice bath.
Yeah, that was a good
me. Pulis's naked headbutt was a particular favourite.
Pulis's naked headbutt.
I don't, listen, might be a wives' tale.
And I know it was good fun what we last did, but I didn't quite realise how much actually came from it, which makes me excited for today.
Let's keep it going. The second episode of that Peter Crouch podcast. This one's about transfers.
Crouch has done the robot again because it's 100 Premier League goals for Peter Crouch.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Have we got any stories about transfers? I've got a few. Been transferred enough times.
I haven't been transferred, but I do love a transfer. So I will believe any rumour as well, Chris. I don't know what you're like with Watford.
I love it. Transfer deadline day for me is a really important day of the year. It's up there, not with Christmas, I'd say, but one of the lesser holidays.
Good Friday?
Yeah, I obviously don't want to cause any kind of offence on that front, but I just mean in terms of like how it works with work and stuff like that. Transfer deadline day, I generally wear what I always wear, which is just like a hoodie and jeans and that, but I'll always put on a tie, and it's a nod to transfer deadline day. And what I love about it so much is I'm more excited by the rumours of who we might sign.
Okay, so
for
who was
example,
the greatest rumour that didn't actually come to pass?
Ronaldinho.
What?
Ronaldinho to Watford was at one point.
Where would you
it was
get this
conceivable.
rumour?
It was conceivable, and for me, just the idea that you could buy a Watford shirt with Ronaldinho on the back was enough excitement.
When
for
you
me.
say it's conceivable, just talk me through that.
I can't remember. I
Was
read
that in the
about it
Watford
somewhere.
Gazette?
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
heard that one. I genuinely didn't hear that one.
But that's the best bit of the BBC
Yeah.
Sport website, isn't it? It's the rumour section on
Yeah,
Transfer Deadline,
gossip
which
column.
is just like anyone like us can just get involved in. But my experience of transfers, to be honest, boys, I'm probably the least qualified here. Has been Football Manager, a few transfers on there. Obviously, the odd game of FIFA. Pro Evo for one season when FIFA had a kind of dodgy one. But that's about it.
It always strikes me, Peter, that to make a transfer happen, it's a bit like wooing someone. You've got to treat them right. You've got to show them a good time. Maybe take them out for a meal, and that might affect your decision.
Certainly, the one for Aston Villa sticks out in my mind. I went to Aston Villa from Portsmouth. And I signed. I met Graham Taylor, Belfry Hotel. It was lovely. My dad was with me actually, and we had a room each, and my balcony overlooked the 18th green was, the Ryder Cup was. I was thinking, right, we've arrived. We're in the Premier League. And once I'd signed, I was moved to a box room. So it's like literally they'd signed me and went, right, just stick him anywhere now. And the size of the room was no bigger than this table. And I stayed there for 3 months.
3 months?
And I was in there.
Why would you do that, though? Why would you stay in the hotel? This is what baffles me about Mourinho, right? Why is he living in a hotel? Is that part of the reason he's gone a bit weird of and do you think it had that effect on you?
He probably really likes hash browns, doesn't he? Because when you're in a hotel, you never have a hash brown at home. But who can turn down a hash brown at the hotel? I can't.
It's exactly right. I think I was in that hotel, and beautiful restaurant, and if you go there for a weekend, you've possibly eaten there once. I was eating there every night, and every night it was a carvery. So I like a carvery, and every single night I was just going through the carveries and having a full roast dinner. And it got to a stage where I was just like, what am I doing? I was going out for bizarre drives. I didn't know anyone in Birmingham.
It's different rules in a hotel. It does go a bit Alan Partridge sometimes, and I think. I don't know if you're like me, but whenever you stay in a hotel when you're on your own, the very first thing I like to do is just get completely naked. Yeah. And it's the freedom that you get with a hotel room.
I agree with that. Listen, I do get naked as well. And I do like to pick a robe out. So I do go for a robe and try and lounge about in that. But
you would look good in a standard issue robe as well, because that would come up to wear.
They are short.
Yeah. It's like a mini skirt.
And it is embarrassing when the room service girl comes in. But moving on from that, there was a
So when you order room service, right? You've had your carvery, but you fancy a late night pizza or something like that, or it's a club sandwich. So you order that, assume to the room. You're naked, but you're wearing a robe, and the room service girl has to come in and generally place that down. And that for you is the stress of the time. It's
quite stressful for me because the dressing gowns are always quite small for me. I don't want to get dressed again.
Nor should you have to.
So, exactly. So I do answer the door in the robe, and sometimes the robe's very small, so it can be difficult to navigate, especially when you're bending over to sign the bill.
And what's the situation like? I'm never sure on the rules with this. Do you tip?
The tip is a very difficult one to navigate, I think, because
you do get judged.
It's difficult because it's hard when you've got a few quid. It's like, there you go, there's a drink or something. But when you're putting it on a bill and your card's already there, it's like, it's just a weird number. And I always think so I put a pound sign and then put like the $5 or whatever I've given her. Like usually, a tenner maybe, really close.
I'm with you on that.
To the pound, so she can't add another digit.
What? So she can't stick it.
So when you stay in a hotel, you're worried that they're adding on.
Well, she could put another digit there. So if I put
but she might not.
A tenner, she could put 110.
Because people always
that
tip
would
100.
Never happen.
Could do.
Has it happened to you?
No, but I'm just thinking ahead. Like that, she could do that.
And why are you worried? Because surely the club are paying for the hotel.
No,
you've just transferred. What I'm saying is the club have clearly bought the hotel room. It's a poorer room than before you signed, but you're in there. So surely they're picking up the bill anyway.
No, the meals and stuff like that are okay, but room services, that's a luxury. I have to pay for that. The reason I do put my pound sign there and my $5 or my tenner as close as possible. I don't want someone it's so easy just to write another one in there. I could do 110 quid there for a chicken nugget.
And that's twice now already, and we're not long into the podcast, you've been concerned about fraud.
It's something you need to watch out for, folks. We're learning as well as being entertained on this podcast.
Has there been a move where you've had 2 or 3 suitors, 2 or 3 people who are interested in taking you to the club, and you've almost looked at what they've done, how hard they've tried? Like one might have made a phone call, one's come in person, one sent you flowers.
I was at QPR, I was 19 years old, and I had 3 clubs after me at that point. Preston with David Moyes, Burnley with Stan Turner, and it was Portsmouth with Graham Ricks. So I went to meet all the managers. David Moyes was over the phone, Stan Turner was on the M6, and we were in a Little Chef. And I remember going, and we both went to add with those little trays. And we
got food first.
Yeah, we just both did that, and he was amazing. And we literally sat down in this Little Chef.
So this is where deals get done.
This is not anymore. I don't think. I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen anymore.
But that was one of 3 managers. So one took you to a Little Chef. What did the other 2 do?
David Moyes was over the phone. I was actually with my mum and dad's. He rang on my mum's house phone.
So your mum calls you. You then have to go to the phone. What about wives and girlfriends then? So like Abby, for example, does she have much of a say on where you go?
No, that's never been the case at all. I think some wives do. Some of the lads are very much under the thumb. Yeah.
Here's one, Chris. Right, here's something I've always wondered as a football fan. You're a massive Watford fan. Let's say you're playing at a decent level with Stevenage. You're 22, and your agent calls you up and he says, "Great news, Chris. I've got a move for you. They're going to pay you a fortune. They're going to build a team around you, basically." And you're saying, "This is fantastic. This is fantastic." He says, "Yeah, there's one little hitch." He says, "It's Luton."
Oh.
In other words,
right.
could you sign for a team that you have hated and sung massively rude songs about?
What have you offered him? Have you offered him big money as well?
Let's say, how much would it be on at Stevenage? Are you midfield, Chris? Where are you playing?
Left back.
Oh dear, that's not much, is it? Could you maybe
back,
move? Could you move into defensive midfield? Do a Phil Neville?
Look, we could. Yeah,
we're doubling his wages at Luton, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, we're doubling
So
your wages.
your wages are doubling.
Okay, what has my girlfriend been offered? Is she been looked after properly and everything in this
So
scenario?
She's got a nice flat in Bushy.
Fine. Oh, that does sound lovely.
It's a 2-bed, that's a beauty.
Okay,
She's
great.
got a 2-bed flat in Bushy.
Family are happy.
With the option of moving to Hatch End if it all works out.
All right. And where we're getting at with this is like, I wouldn't do it. And I haven't even got that much of a problem with Luton. It's something I've had to inherit as a football fan. It's like generations gone by, really. It's not really ever affected me. But I couldn't do it on the basis that I'm a big Watford fan. Who do you support?
I was a Chelsea fan as a kid. I've lost all sort of allegiance for that, really. And I was there, I had a rabbit called Kerry Dixon, believe it or not. But when I became sort of old enough, I had a rabbit, yeah, my personal rabbit. My sister's was called Jimbo.
You had a personal rabbit?
Well, my mum bought me a rabbit.
Did you refer to it all the time as in full as Kerry Dixon?
It was never Kerry, yeah.
No?
It was always Kerry Dixon, yeah.
So what happened to Kerry Dixon then? Did he
Kerry Dixon we had to get rid of because it was mental.
Was he?
So it's attacking Jimbo. Do you know Jimbo, the old plane? Cartoon. Yeah, my sister loved that as a kid, and hers was Jimbo, mine was Kerry Dixon.
Is there any rivalry with footballers about the size of the transfer fee that you go for?
Yeah.
You fancy yourself as a bit of a player, and you go for 30 million, and then some bloke you think's useless goes for 40 million the next week, and you're like, what? How's he worth for what?
Or
I'm
just
worth
when you're
30,
in
worth
you're in
40.
the changing room and you're looking around, you're thinking that is going to be £50 million worth of
50
football.
million, do me a favour.
Do you know what I mean? You must have been in that situation.
God, that happens all the time. I think there's players that I don't know going for 30 million. I've never heard of them. Transfers are overinflated, and you look at a player and you think, God, he's got a bit of a derby there, and he's worth like 30 mil. You know, he's a bit out of shape, or his first touch is horrendous. You know,
who are you thinking of right now?
That does happen. It's
Who are you thinking of? Be honest.
He's definitely overinflated, I think.
But this is
not just the player,
this
the
mysterious
transfer fee.
agent role that
Yeah.
I've never understood. Like, have you got an agent?
Yeah, I've had the same agent since I was 14.
Isn't that like the easiest gig in the world? Because surely a club wants you. What has an agent got to do?
But for starters, it was like they got me boots and did various things for me. And then there was the fact that they have an accountant, a mortgage advisor, all these people that helped me do things that I didn't have a clue about and let me concentrate on the football. And I think that was the biggest sort of help for me.
What's the most menial task that you've got your agent to do?
Oh, I know players. I know players that genuinely ask them to do anything. Everything.
Like what?
Oh God, some incredible things. Like deal with the phones, deal with presents for the wives. Things.
Could you do that? You could call your agent and say, "I need a present."
Most
for the wife.
agents these days are
They'll do anything.
They're like personal PA for some players.
I genuinely think I could be an agent.
Would you be someone who'd have my interests at heart? Or would you be sort of...
No, because be real. Every agent is looking at. Do you think you might have missed out on opportunities to move to a club because your agent just hasn't let you go further with those discussions? Do you see what I mean? Like, doesn't it block you when it's about their interests?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I think there is an element of that. You say your agent was offered X at one club and Y at another. He's going to push you to where he's getting more money and say, that's better for you, and maybe tell you that that's a better option for you. So yeah, you do have to be aware of that, without a doubt.
Some agents as well are miracle workers, aren't they? There's some transfers you look at where you think, hang on a sec, Nicholas Benton he's gone to Juve.
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it?
How's that happened?
And I think it's a bit like going out on a Friday or a Saturday night. Occasionally, good-looking guys, they get with good-looking girls. Occasionally there's an FA Cup draw, and it's, odd results do happen.
They do, yeah.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, no, mate, that wasn't personal.
No, say.
Yes.
So for a buying club sometimes, let's say you were a buying club, you'd have your wish list, wouldn't you? You want your top 3 players, and then you might find that they're not available because they want to go to a different club, whatever else. When you've got a bowl of pistachios, and you look at them and you make a decision straight away, there's 8 pistachios in there that look disgusting. Like there's no way they're closed or they're black. There's no way you're going to eat them. And then
Too hard work.
Exactly.
Yeah,
then you eat the nice ones, and about 10 minutes later you're looking in there thinking, yeah, go on then, that'll do a job.
Go on then, that'll do a job. Well,
Yeah.
that's the end of the transfer window.
Yeah.
It's
Panic.
the exact same. Yeah, it's panic stations. You still need players, you still need pistachios. You need to go with what's left.
So
And that's how I've got some of my best moves.
Was Mario Balotelli, when he moved to Liverpool, and he was a massive pistachio, wasn't he?
I would think he would have glistened in the bowl.
Yeah.
He was a
Eventually
lovely
as well.
pistachio that you just couldn't get out of the shell. All right, so I'm sort of fascinated by the last-minute nature to transfer deals. Is it better for you that it's last minute or worse for you?
I'll always remember when I got sold on deadline day from Spurs to Stoke, and seeing Sky Sports News and all the breaking news, and it was Crouch. Apparently, that someone spotted me in a helicopter travelling to Stoke from London. We were watching that, me and my dad, in the Target roundabout McDonald's services.
It's one of my favourite places.
You know it well,
Mate, because you see that M coming a mile away, don't you?
Yeah.
So it gives you plenty of thought to...
Well, we weren't very far into our journey because my dad, mum and dad, where I grew up was in just by Hanger Lane.
Yeah.
So we're literally just coming up the A40 towards Norfolk. I mean, we hadn't even done a junction yet, and we were already stopping at McDonald's. And as we were getting into our Big Mac, we saw that we were supposed to be in a chopper landing in Stoke from Tottenham's training ground.
That's so weird.
But I mean, it was happening. I was going to Stoke, just in a family saloon via McDonald's.
Have you ever, to try and inflate your price, leaked something on transfer deadline day to try and get a bit of buzz around you and bump the price up?
No, I've been.
Must have happened.
No. Well, I remember being there at Spurs and we had a double session. It was on deadline day, and I remember we were all sitting around watching it. And one of the lads had one of the journalist's number, and he texted him. He said, "You'll never guess who we've just seen coming."
You all planted a rumour.
We planted a rumour, and it came up on Sky Sports. So we went, "Yes, that's amazing."
I would totally do that.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, if I was bored on transfer deadline day, I would
make it
ring
up.
and get a rumour put on TV. And did it do the full
It was a full
breaking
it was a
news?
swoosh, and there was some breaking news. Someone spotted at Spurs Lodge, and that was around the time that David Bentley went behind the camera. I don't know if you ever remembered it.
Was that the dildo in the air?
Yeah, no, it was dildo in the air day. DE day, as they call it.
It's a bank holiday now, isn't it?
Yeah, it was DE day, but it wasn't. David Bentley actually ran out and did a dance, and I think he might have pulled his trousers down. And while we were all watching this, it was amazing. Yeah.
What's your take on dildos on transfer days, boys? I was a big fan of it, and I know
loved it.
they really clamped down
so
on
They
it.
have. It's a thing we all look back
So
on quite
good.
fondly now, isn't it?
It was so good. It was the thing is, I remember the poor journalists were out there no matter what, and they were outside the gates, and there was fans all around them, and I think trying to create an atmosphere. Dildo in the ear killed it, and it did kill it. And I don't know if you know now, they are now inside the training ground.
Because of the dildo.
ever since.
Yeah,
the
but they would
deal,
have to stop that, and it was the inflatables
Yeah,
as well.
Inflatables, there was a few. I remember a few Arsenal fans getting a bit leery as
did,
well,
didn't
and it was dangerous at times for those. I felt for them, and the deal of the year was the final straw, and
It often is.
you know they moved it all inside the training ground and became a lot more legitimate.
And that's my problem, is I think we need to reclaim transfer deadline day and some of the qualities with it that we all enjoyed so much.
So one of the qualities for me of transfer deadline day. So 21st century, we're all on our smartphones all the time. Why does the fax machine still have such a central place?
It genuinely amazes me to this day. It's like we haven't had the fax yet, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, the fax, it's bizarre. They still use the fax, and I don't know if it still goes on now, but I mean, I'm talking like when I last moved from the Tottenham to Stoke deal was 7 years ago. That was still done by fax.
Have you
That's
ever used
incredible.
the fax, Chris?
No, I've never used
There we
one.
go.
I wouldn't know how.
I don't know how. There was a delay on my transfer.
So have you got a fax machine at your house then?
No,
Just
no,
in
no. I'm
case.
talking about the training ground where the fax between the Tottenham, Daniel Levy, and the owners at Stoke were faxing each other, and we had to wait right up to the deadline because there was a slight problem. Like Tottenham didn't fax right through the right things, and there was a bit missing, and
Fax machine ran out of ink.
bit of to and fro, basically. Yeah, and it was
So old school.
It's very old school.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
Can we talk about the patron saint of transfer deadline day, which is Harry Redknapp? And another thing that I miss from the day is obviously him leaning out the van window. Was it a van? Or am I just imagining that?
Yeah,
I don't
expensive
think he
car,
was in
yeah.
a van.
I always
I mean,
imagine there was
I can
players
see
in the
what-
back
I can
of the
see
van.
why you're saying that, because a van and Harry Redknapp is a
Bag of
natural.
balls.
It's a
Some
natural
coke.
marriage in your head, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it was probably a very expensive sports car.
What was your take on that? So when you see Harry Redknapp on BBC Sport, window down, leaning out, saying, there's nothing in it, there's nothing in it. You know Harry Redknapp really well. Is he really playing the system on transfer deadline day?
The thing is with Harry, I know he has become synonymous with transfer deadline day,
Wheeler dealing.
without doubt. But I can understand where he's coming from. Those fellas have been out there all day. I know they are there before I get into training, and they are there 10 o'clock or whenever the deadline finishes. They're there.
I mean, reporters.
Reporters, yes. So they're
He's just
there
been polite,
the
isn't he?
entire day. Like, I think he genuinely feels for them. Everyone drives past them, no one gives them anything. They're there basically reporting to an empty field of players who have gone home. He stops and he chats to them, and he's getting loads of stick for it. But genuinely, he's just chatting to someone about, because they've been there all day.
But do you love that as much as like me and Tom would, that you watch Harry Redknapp leaning out the window there? It's so Del Boy, it's ridiculous. Like,
Never call him a wheeler or dealer, though. You've seen that clip, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oof. It's on a popular video sharing website where someone says to him something about wheeler dealer, and he loses it in the same way that he loses it when that ball hits him on the head.
The one in the face is
was that you?
No, it wasn't me. No, it wasn't me.
To go back to our earlier conversation about Chris, you're at Stevenage and you're going to get signed by Luton. If Harry's in charge of Luton and he wants to sign Chris, what sort of chat is Chris going to get from Harry?
Yeah, no, you can be quite persuasive. I think he would definitely.
Do you mean in a threatening way, or like what?
No, I think in a good way. I think he would sell the club more than you'd know.
It'd make Chris feel amazing, would he?
But he's not a wheeler dealer.
Listen, I would never call him that because I've seen the clip. But he would probably sell the fact that Bushy is such a nice place to live. He'd get you 3-bed instead of 2. A lovely place to start the family.
Yeah. I find it fascinating trying to value like what we do just in our own lives, or if everyone was to have a value. But I'm also trying to think what I've paid for you on like various games that I've had, and like kind of where I've rated you previously.
You've definitely signed him, have you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
He's
I was
lying there.
maybe.
I was nervous.
No, I'll be honest. Like, you're a good person to have on the bench in terms of like,
thanks
just
very
like
much.
impact.
Yeah.
No, just for impact.
Yeah.
Because on every
Yeah.
game, you smash them in, don't you? It's
Yeah.
just fatigue.
Yeah. I scored a few goals. I don't think anyone knows how.
Do you play the football games?
Yes, I do. Yeah, my mate actually pulled me recently, and because he had me as a player at one of the clubs, I think he'd have bought me, and I was asking to be played more whilst asking for a new contract, and he's like, cheeky bastard, and he texted me a picture of it and said, "Who do you think you are?"
Because I heard football managers use Football Manager in games like that to actually sign players
If you were a manager, would you be playing Football Manager in your spare time? And if you are,
100%.
It's a busman's holiday, really,
that
isn't it?
fair play to you. You love the sport. But my own personal experience as Championship manager, I feel like I was there right back in the day. I was playing that when you used the space bar to speed it up, and I feel like I scouted Oliver Bierhoff.
Really?
I feel like he was at Udinese, wasn't much of a player, and I bought him. And he went on to some really big things.
You developed him.
And that was before he went to AC Milan and before he was a German legend. So I genuinely believe that I spotted Oliver Bierhoff, and I feel that there's many people out there that will know that, this.
Well, you also had the opposite, didn't you? There would always be an absolute stinker of a player. That's actually someone on Championship or Football Manager who would be an absolute legend on the game, and in real life never cut it.
There's one a year.
Neil Ampty went to Aston Villa for
yeah.
like 500 grand, I think.
Yeah.
He was incredible on Championship Manager.
Do you think you're better in real life or on... Be honest.
I don't know. It's a difficult one to answer that. I'd like to think I was better in real life. Although I do get some goals on this game. Yeah, I do get a few good goals. I get people tweeting me all the time about a couple of good goals I've scored on FIFA, and yeah, it's quite lifelike. I've got absolutely no pace, but I can bang them in every now and then.
Crouch going for the spectacular. Oh, what a goal from Peter Crouch!
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Has there been a situation where you wanted to move and the club didn't want to sell you? And what can you do in that position? Can you go on strike? Can you go and confront a manager?
Yeah, no, I've got a good story about this. I think when I was at Southampton, Liverpool just won the Champions League 2005, Istanbul. We all watched it. Incredible scenes. I played for Southampton. I'd done really well. My agent actually called me and he was like, look, he's sitting down. Liverpool coming in for you. And I was like, wow.
What does that mean? So Liverpool have got in contact with your agent?
Liverpool have been in touch with the club. They're trying to sign me.
That's
I knew of the interest. I was like, wow. They literally just won the Champions League. They could sign anyone. And they're coming for me. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I was like, okay. I spoke to Harry. I said, look, Liverpool, he was like, Crashy, that's amazing. He was like, wow, fantastic. I bet you can't wait to get started and this and that. And I thought, right, Harry's all for it. So anyway, then I spoke to Rupert Lowe, who was the chairman at the time, and he was like, no, Harry's not said you can't go anywhere. You're not going anywhere. No chance of you leaving. You're getting us back up. We just got relegated. So it was the thought of playing in the Championship or playing in the Champions League with Liverpool, and I was like, look, I've got to go. I've got to follow my dream. I've always wanted to do it. I rang Harry back up, and he said, yeah, God, great opportunity, but I don't want you going anywhere. I was like, well, hold on. Then we just had this conversation and he was like, no, God, it's a great opportunity, but I've got to be selfish, and I want you to play next year. So I rang the chairman, he stopped answering, and he got to the stage, it was like weeks on end, he wasn't answering the phone. So he lived in the Cotswolds. I got in the car and drove down there.
You drove to his house?
You turned up at his house?
How
did you get his address?
My agent knew it. We drove down, yeah.
Was he there?
And, he genuinely, we knocked on the door, didn't know answer.
I bet
we
he
walked
didn't.
around the back, and he was just sitting there in the garden.
When you bowl round the corner?
Yeah, we bowled round.
And said like,
hi, Rupert. And he was like, and he said, oh, you get no service down here.
Oh, that old
was
chestnut.
Like,
yeah,
fair enough. But,
did he call the dogs?
no, he was great.
did you break in?
Basically, yeah, we basically did.
Was that the first time a footballer just rocked up, come down the back, the side gate, and rocked up in his back garden?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it was difficult to find. And he didn't want us there, so it was a bit strange.
Did he offer you a beverage?
He was good as gold. Yeah, we sat down and we had a cup of tea and we talked it over, and he understood my point and I understood his.
Weirdly, I've got more respect for the fact that you went out and had to kind of not fight a battle, but you decided to go out and sort of seek it out for yourself than like, I don't know, an agent. I always perceived this to be an agent's game.
Do the legwork.
And it was like you all just got money, and it didn't mean that much to you that you would go and personally sort this out yourself.
So when you leave Southampton, do you have a leaving do? Do you go to a local pub?
It's
do you
amazing.
Get a card and a little whip round for a present?
It's genuinely amazing with football is that, someone who's your mates and you spend so much time with, you leave and that's it. You spend so much time with them and then all of a sudden it's like bang. I mean, I've got a handful of friends probably from football, 5 maybe I'd count as good friends. Portsmouth was a good time for me. So I miss a few of those lads. Sean Davis was a good lad. I don't speak to him much anymore. I feel like I'm calling out for them to get in touch. But Davo was top man. We had a good time down there. I had great mates, Sean Derry, Courtney Pitt, when I first went to Portsmouth. We lived in each other's pockets. We used to cook for each other. We had like a come dine with you kind of vibe. We all lived on a marina.
That would be a special, wouldn't it?
We genuinely did. We were all single at the time. We were all terrible. And we were eating out and we were professional footballers. So we were like, right, let's nip this in the bud. So we used to make little trips to Tesco. We used to go all together. We'd have our basket, or one of the lads would be pushing the trolley. We'd get various items, and whoever was cooking would say what they wanted, and then we'd rate each other. Literally,
That's one of the saddest things I've ever heard, Crouchy.
this is before Come Dine With Me, by the way.
Well, you came up with Come Dine With Me.
I invented Come Dine With Me, and I've had no royalties for it, and I've not been asked on the show. And we generally did, and my speciality was chicken and with stirring pasta. It wasn't top notch,
Complicated,
but it was.
Your signature dish was what? Talk us through it.
Yeah, literally. Like I used to get the bows, the pasta bows. Yeah, I used to cut the little bits of chicken myself. That was cooking. I might throw a few onions in and then some stirring sauce. And
So who won?
Sean Derry was good. He was a little bit older than us. I mean, me and Courtney would have been 18. I'd have been 19. Des was probably about 23, 24. So he had more culinary skills.
What
than
did
us.
he do? I mean,
No, his was not bad. I mean,
garnish?
No, I'm talking. It's not Gordon Ramsay stuff, but it used to be edible.
I mean, amazing review on TripAdvisor restaurant, wouldn't it? The food here was edible.
Yeah, but bearing in mind, I mean, this is the first time I'd ever left home. This was my first flat, so I had a blow-up goal, and before I had a couch.
Also, you were single at that point,
I was
weren't you?
single,
So it was-
yeah. I mean, my mum had to come and furnish the place for me.
So this was at Portsmouth,
This
right?
is at Portsmouth,
So I'm
yeah.
just imagining you boys go out, you do well for yourselves, you bring a lady back, and all you've got in your flat is an inflatable goal.
Yeah. That happened for a while. I had a bed, blow up couch for a little bit.
Why is everything inflatable?
Because you could just buy them and get them straight away. Like a couch is like a big waiting order.
So you had inflatable furniture until
For a
you
while,
could
yeah.
bring the
Till I
real
could
stuff.
bring real stuff in. Yeah, thinking about
This
it
is
now, I
incredible.
could have bought
Did
something.
you have a
quick.
waterbed?
No.
Did
I
you
had
have-
a normal bed. I got that in quite quick. But yeah, before my mum sorted me out, I didn't have a lot of furniture. A lot of it was blow up.
You said that you had 5 friends that you've kind of gathered from
Yeah, I'm talking about
your time.
still keep in touch with.
So who are they?
Yeah, like Des, I would still speak to. So Sean Derry from that, he was probably the best chef amongst us. I still speak to him. Glenn Johnson's a good friend of mine. I still speak to Gareth Barry every now and then. Lee Hendry, Dion Dublin.
Let's talk about Dion Dublin.
Yeah.
Baffles me what's gone on there.
Dion Dublin, if I'm not, obviously apart from presenting property programs, very talented musician.
Yeah, him and Nobby Solano used to jam in at Aston Villa.
Because Nobby Solano played trumpet,
He
didn't
played trumpet, yeah, and him and Dion used to play sax. And I remember just hearing this noise and thinking, what's that? And walking in there, and Nobby was on the trumpet. And Dion was on the sax.
Just straight after training.
Genuinely, yeah, after training, yeah. Probably should, yeah. God's honest truth. Dion developed the jube. Don't know if you've ever come across
What's the
tube.
jube?
It was like a cube, but because he's Dion Dublin, it was a tube.
What is it?
Have you not heard this?
No,
You've not
I've
about
never
the
heard
tube?
of the tube. Have
Yeah,
you,
it's
Tom?
No, I don't even understand what it looks like or what its function
Yeah,
You're
is.
talking about? Are you talking about a box? It's like a drum.
It's like a
because he
box.
didn't invent that.
It's
if
like
he's telling you
no.
that.
This is the tube. You don't know about the tube.
No one knows what a tube is, mate. Like,
What does it look like? What
Well,
shape
it's
is it?
got a few different sides on it, and it's obviously you can play it. And
But what do you do with it? Do you hit it? Or?
It's a drum.
it's a drum.
I'm going to Google it.
Listen, it's a well-known thing. I'm surprised you.
Is it
don't.
commercially available?
I believe so.
But the tube is invented by Dion Dublin.
Invented by Dion Dublin. It's basically
Oh my God, he's not wrong.
a drum.
I'm looking at it now. You
Can you order one?
When
Can
you
order one?
Google
Can I have a look?
tube, what comes up is the website of Dion Dublin's percussion instrument, the tube. What? Crouchy, I'm sorry. I'm
It's
so
all right,
doubted
don't
you.
ever doubt me again. It's
coming
not,
in
I
with-
don't make this stuff up.
I'm coming
This
in with
actually
more
happened.
information.
This actually happened.
Does it augment?
unreal.
Does it augment a percussion section or does it replace?
No, it accompanies various instruments, and it's a drum, but with various bits. So you'd have it in front of you like this.
Are you gripping? Sorry, you're gripping it with your thighs there, are you?
Yeah, you can put it. You can put it down. It sits down. You
Yeah.
don't have to grip it. An African drum, say, but played differently, and it's a tube.
Whilst at Norwich in 2006, this is from Dion Dublin, I had the light bulb moment. My passion after football has always been music. In fact, I often say it's something that has lay dormant in me for years. During the latter stages of my playing career, I visited a hardware shop, bought some wooden nails, went home and put 6 sides together. The tube was born.
6 sides.
He played it at my wedding. His whole family, basically.
Was it a solo?
Were on stage, and they can all play. They were fantastic. His brother was amazing DJ. Did all the 90s dance classics. He done all our old favourites, and he went down a storm.
Homes Under the Hammer. Then at some point he must have had to tell you that he'd got the role on TV.
No, it's amazing. Yeah, it's an amazing story. He said to me. He called me, he said, "You'll never guess what." I was like, "What?" And he said, "Prime time TV show." I was like, "Wow." And he was like, "No, it wasn't prime time, it was daytime."
Yeah.
He said, and you give me the numbers before he told me what it was, the people that were watching it. And I was like, "God, wow, that's incredible." We're like, "What is it? Like match of the day? Like, was it Football Focus? Like, what, amazing." It's like, Homes Under the Hammer.
We've talked about the moves that you made that did come off. Has there ever been one where a club has wooed you and you've got really excited, thinking this is good, but this relationship is developing, and then they've just disappeared?
In real person's talk, ghosting is where you are desperately trying it on with someone that you quite like, and they have shown some interest,
Right.
and then they vanish. They ghost, and you
okay.
can't contact them, and it's like 2 ticks on WhatsApp and everything, but nothing back.
Trying to think, that one recently in the last transfer window of Chelsea was strange. They were just after anyone sort of over 6 foot that was playing football.
Is that your take on it? Because, mate, I said that as a joke.
I think that was it. Yeah, I think they were just after anyone 6 foot that was still playing football.
And you're like the go-to 6 foot plus person, aren't you?
I'm over 6 foot quite convincingly.
If you were doing Family Fortunes and the topic was famous footballers over 6 foot,
Good game.
Yeah, I'd be terrible
so.
on Pointless. Pointless
you
would be a
be.
shit one.
I went on that show.
I think
it was.
you've been on Pointless.
Yeah, I got a pointless answer as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I buzzed about it so much that I sort of ran around the set.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Songs with colouring.
Oof, Purple Rain.
I went with Pretty Green Eyes, Ultra Beat.
Yeah, nice.
Got the pointless answer, buzzed about it. Like really,
That was the best Pointless answer.
mate, it was so wicked when you got it. I can see the appeal for Dion Dublin, actually. It's like just a
quite
buzz
heady.
you get from
The buzz,
TV, isn't it?
buzz.
What I love about those shows as well is I reckon you've been an answer on quite a few of them.
Yeah, I
Like,
have. Yeah, I've been watching them live and thought, God. And the best one was actually in a pub. We were all playing, it was all round it, like going.
Oh, on the
and,
inbox?
and I came up with one of the questions.
Did you know the answer?
Yeah, I did. I can't remember the question now, but it was a beauty. And we were like, yes, and it got us up to like 50 quid.
It would have been 50 quid. On an hitbox,
yeah,
it would have been
maybe
like,
not. Maybe
like
it was a
50
tenner.
pence or
Maybe it was
something.
a
And then
tenner.
you
No, but it was decent money. It was decent money.
always go Lee Sharp.
Lee Sharp.
It's always the answer.
always an
on those
answer,
things,
yeah.
Lee Sharp. Boys, we were talking about being ghosted. And with the Chelsea thing, like, I'm sorry to hark back to it. Do they contact you?
No, not personally.
personally.
I'd heard there was a bit of interest.
Yeah.
And that was it.
This sounds like bullshit though. Like there must be we're talking about a deal which really conceivably could have gone through. It must have gone further than just you seeing about it the same way that you'd watch Pointless or something like that.
That happens a lot. I mean, I've seen my name in a newspaper linked to this, that, and I genuinely not heard anything about it ever. And then I ring my agent and he's like, don't ask me.
When I used to work on Match magazine in the 1990s.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. It was
Loved
an amazing
Match
job.
magazine. Yeah,
Amazing
That
job.
used to be
When
my
I
treat.
found that out, I was like,
Yeah, that's the
amazing.
coolest thing about you, mate.
By a long
Sorry,
way.
I mean that with
that's
the
fine.
utmost respect.
I'm fine with that. So there was a point where Rob Lee has moved from Charlton to Newcastle to play for Kevin Keegan. There's 2 parts to this story because I think Brian Robson wanted him at Borough. This shows you what some footballers can be like. So Keegan has said to him, listen, I want to sign you. And Lee said, yeah, but I want to be as close as possible to London. And Keegan just said to him, well, you're fine. Newcastle is much closer to London than Borough.
And just bought it.
And he bought it.
Oh, wow.
And he bought it. So the second part of this story is a mate of mine is a Charlton fan. And he was really upset that Robert Lee had left Charlton to go to Newcastle. So I've gone up to see Robert Lee. And obviously with Match, you got a lot of posters in it, didn't you? Big posters you could stick on your bedroom wall. So I've taken this poster up to Rob Lee and I said, would you mind apologising to my mate John about this? So Rob Lee has got a pen and just written on this poster, hello mate, I'm really sorry I left Charlton. You're a lovely club, best wishes.
Wow.
Nice touch.
That is nice, yeah. Have I apologised? I wasn't ready for the Premier League when I went to Villa. So then I ended up moving to Southampton and I think they just wanted shot of me, basically. David O'Leary didn't fancy me as a player, wanted to get shot of me. That's the one regret, I think, because had I had stayed around at Villa a bit longer, I think they would have seen the best of me. But I don't think they ever did. And I think Graham Taylor especially, because, you know, obviously he passed away now, and he was he believed in me so much. And obviously, yeah, I'm sure you're the same with Graham Taylor. And I remember I was playing for Liverpool, and I came back to Villa Park, and I was playing for England, and I came down, and Graham Taylor was working on the radio. And he ran down after the game, gave me a massive hug, and was like, I knew you'd do it. I believed in you. I knew you would be the player you are now. And it was just a shame that, you know, I didn't do it for him at Villa, because he bought me and he saw that when not many other people did. It was nice to be able to get there to prove him right, but I wish I'd done it for him earlier.
But also from a football fan point of view, sometimes you've got to let players go as well. And being a fan of a club and letting a player go is also a weird situation. And when it's a player that you really like.
The biggest one for me was Liverpool. When I left Liverpool, Torres was irreplaceable. I was never going to replace him. I was on the bench. I was frustrated, and I was playing for England, and I needed to play really. And Torres was just on fire. There was no way I was going to replace him. But then I left, and he left not long after that. And then Ngog, Voronin, various other players were playing up front for Liverpool, and I was like, you know, shit, should I have just hung around that bit longer? You know, because I didn't want to leave Liverpool.
Well, what do you reckon now?
Well, I would have done. Yeah, I would have played. Hopefully. I'd like to think I was better than those players.
It's so weird speaking to you about regrets, because it's all about what it's like to be a footballer, and it's cool, and there's these things, and these are all good. It's really cool hearing you talk about regrets, and one being the Graham Taylor thing, which actually rings true, because I was lucky enough to meet Graham Taylor, and I think he was, you know, one of the nicest people that I ever met. I met him several times, like when I was a kid, and he came to my school and everything. I've always thought he was sound. The second time, obviously, with what you're talking about right now, maybe in a slightly less serious way, the only other regret I would think that you must have is surely your unveiling at clubs. You're a man of big celebrations. Yeah. You've never had a proper unveiling, mate.
It's true, actually.
But I don't like all this stuff. It's all new now, and everyone's doing some bizarre like unveiling, and no, pull the shirt out and go home.
No, mate.
I quite
it's the modern game.
like the days
like
where a player would make a move and they'd pull on the shirt of their new club, and they'd still be wearing quite a smart shirt underneath.
Yeah.
So the collar,
the
collar and the sleeves would stick out quite awkwardly. Like we've got to the point with unveilings where they've gone so bananas, like the Santi Cazorla one.
Cazorla, have you seen?
It's just insane.
Yeah, isn't it like, what's the film Spinal Tap, where you get trapped in the...
It's like David Blaine. It's like unveiling Cazorla.
Is that not a regret for you, though?
I'm quite happy not being in a tank full of smoke. That's absolutely fine with me. Not a problem. I'm happy with the old, put the shirt on over the suit and tie.
Do some keepy-ups in some inappropriate footwear.
With some winkle pickers
on. By the way, the keepy-ups when you get unveiled must be one of the most stressful experiences of the game.
Yeah, well, it's Barcelona and Real Madrid seem to do it. I don't, you know, it doesn't happen so much at Norwich and QPR, but but I get it. It's nerve-wracking. Those unveilings are just, for me, you know, I buzz off them because a couple of lads at Stoke have been stitched up. Our media team are stitching them up royally, and I love it though. I've told them to keep doing it.
Why?
But,
like there's two big...
There's some beauties. There's one lad, Josh Timon. He would never live it down. He was literally where's the camera on me here? Is this one? He was literally like this, right? So it said like new signing, and you didn't know who it was. You just saw the back of his head, and he was on the typewriter answering tweets, and then they left it for a little bit.
Typewriter.
So you just saw that, and you just saw like typewriter, not a type. Sorry, what are they called now? Computers. Yeah, computers. Anyway, so he was on the computer, getting back to tweets and stuff and about what kind of player it is, and he just turned round and went, Josh Tyreman, like that. It was top notch, and if you ever can get it, it's a beauty. And I still give him stick to this day. He's been in the club 3 years now.
Is that the problem? It's like you got Sanchez and a piano. Does that stress you out that if you move to a new club now, you would have to have some kind? You'd be skydiving in.
Skydiving.
Would you not want to take it back a bit like after the Beatles have done Sgt. Pepper? They followed up with a White Album, so they've done the most iconic album cover of all time, super busy, all those famous faces, and they've gone for the blank album sleeve for the next one. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to a simple scarf held over the head.
Scarf, remember that one? You know, like I have the shirt
That was
in
before
between
my
the manager
time,
and that. The scarf was great.
Oh, beautiful.
Like the way it's gone now, it's not for me at all. I think even the old, manager over the top of the shoulder
with the pen
signing the contracts. Pen one.
That's what you would do.
You know what you're getting with that. You don't need a David Blaine's magic telephone box.
Perhaps that's what we need to do for the picture for this podcast that you can all see. It should be you signing in a traditional way.
You standing over my shoulder,
look over the shoulder,
one hand on the shoulder.
Yeah, and you can be like my parent, like monitoring the situation. I'm like,
it's a slight dig in there.
Happy
Tom,
to be.
It's 6 years difference, yeah.
No, what was he? I mean, he was the manager, so there was no age associated with that.
What about? Here's one thing I'd like to know. Have you ever been forced out of a club?
Yeah, it's tough to even say, but Spurs, yeah. I mean, when I went from Spurs to Stoke, I was happy. We just off the back of playing in the Champions League, I'd done well. I was happy there. We were settled. I didn't want to leave.
Who sacked you?
I had two years left. Daniel Levy called me and said to me, we're bringing Adebayor in, and
but why can't I keep both of you?
Well, because Daniel Levy didn't want to keep us both.
It sounds just a bit cheap to me.
I agree with that. But we have, there's a lot of forwards at the club, and we're similar sorts of players. It's one or the other, basically. And I remember Harry saying to me, look, I'd love to keep you both, but
that's like someone splitting up with you and going, I'm really sorry, I really like you, but my mum doesn't.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's what the manager said. But then I actually spoke to Daniel Levy personally, and I was like, well, look, I'm happy here. And it got to the stage where it got a bit nasty, so no breakups are easy. And he does get a bit bitter at some stage.
Is there anything you'd like to say down the camera here to him? No.
If I was a chairman, if I was an owner of a football club, he would be my chairman.
But he dumped you.
He did dump me, but I respect him for that. But at that time, I was obviously gutted. I wanted to stay. He said that he didn't want me, and it got a bit nasty. It got to the stage where I was like, look, I'm staying, I'll see you in the morning, I'm not going.
Just refusing.
And he was like, yeah. And he was like,
I love you, I'm not leaving.
What do you mean? You just no.
No, I was like, yeah, look, I've got 2 years left, we're happy here.
You have to choose to go.
Yeah, of course. And that's why he was calling me so often, for starters. They were getting a lot of money from me. I was 30 years old, and they would only take me and Wilson Palacios, which is £16 million for 2 players that they didn't particularly want. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's why there was obviously he wanted me to go, and it got to the stage where, right, if you don't go, you won't get a squad number next year. He was making it difficult for me to the point where I had to leave.
But you wanted to stay.
I was happy to stay, really happy to stay.
So what do you reckon would have played out if you really dug your heels in and said, right, I'm going to stay, Levy. Give me whatever number you want, 69, whatever. I'll go the full way with this.
Yeah.
That would teach you, yeah.
What could he have done?
I wouldn't have done a 69 to stay, no way. But I would, I was happy to stay, but
Not for that.
no
With him,
way.
every man has his price.
No way would I have 69 then.
Well, boys, we've done it again, episode 2. I'm bloody proud of you both.
It's been fun again, hasn't it?
No, it has been.
Old Man's Pub just round the corner from Radio 1. I've got to say, it was very convenient for me.
I love the pub vibe.
Yeah.
I just feel like the podcast is a chat amongst fellas in a pub. So why weren't we having a pub?
I want to know what it's like to play in the England team.
Yeah.
To go to a World Cup.
It was amazing. And playing with the players that I played with, like household names that even my mum can tell you about, Beckhams, the Lampards, the Gerrards, the Rooneys, the Rios, and top players that won everything in the game, and I was fortunate enough to sort of play in that era.
So, boys, that's what we're going to go with next time then, England.
Let's do it.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Thank you for downloading That Peter Crouch podcast. Hit the subscribe button and the next episode will come straight to your phone as soon as it's ready. Oh, and whilst I'm here, please remember to leave a nice review, mainly so that we can show it to Peter Crouch's agent, and we're going to need him to sign new contracts, so every little helps.
BBC Radio 5 Live.